Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nations Cup 17. I'm Ikslorin, your mediocre shoutcaster. We're here in the very last of the quarterfinals between Portugal and Australia. Two teams that you may not have expected to get into the quarterfinals. Not to say that they are bad, but you would probably have expected Poland, maybe Germany, and maybe some other teams than these to get in. Then on the other hand, Brazil also. Though Brazil, I cannot really say if anyone would have expected Brazil. I have never heard of them, and they are very far away, so I probably shouldn't be talking about those. But these two, I feel rather safe to say that no one expected them to be doing that well, even though that they are still really good. And there's still something that I'm actually a bit worried about these two teams, or at least for whoever gets further. And please let me explain why. Because if we look at the team history, or as in we look at how Australia, for example, has been doing in Group B, they had 3 wins and 1 draw. The draw being against Poland, where Poland chose capture the flag. A fact that I would want you to remember. Then we also had Yugoslavia and Chile, which Australia won against, but that was by forfeit. And the only win that Australia had where they actually played was against Slovakia, where it was a team survivor and bomb mode thing. So Australia has only won in team survivor and bomb mode, as it seems, until now. Portugal, if we look at them in Group A, they had a 4-1, a little bit of a better thing, especially since if you remember what Australia was playing against, I will repeat: Yugoslavia, Slovakia, Chile and Poland. Poland is probably the only real threat there. It's not really a group of death, if you can say it like that. Group A and D would probably be the ones that I would have been, probably more Group D. Maybe Group A because of France, but Group D more and A because are probably the ones that you would call a group of death. And Portugal have been doing pretty well in that one, actually. Colombia, they've won against all team survivor. Canada, they've won against all team survivor. Brazil, they've won against all team survivor. Yeah, I think you can see some kind of repeating thing here. They've also won against United Kingdom, where United Kingdom actually chose to capture the flag. So they actually have that going for them. France, they obviously lost against, but who would have expected anything else? Maybe 1-2 you would have expected, but probably no one would expect France, or at least if you would win against France, then it would have to be a very, very close game. So, as you may already understand now, what I'm trying to say is, both of these teams don't really seem to be very strong in capture the flag. They don't really seem to be very willing to play it either. So I am worried for the one who has to go up against USA, because as if we remember back from USA, the other quarterfinals with USA, they played on they had a capture the flag map, and France also has one. So if France wins against Brazil, which everyone probably would expect to, whoever wins against this would have at least to win two capture the flag matches, and that is really not the best thing. The opponent just have to choose a capture the flag map, and they already get a free win. I mean, that is really bad. Then you have to use the ace match to actually get further and win the Nations Cup, and that seems just very unlikely. At least that they can pull it off twice, to be honest. USA will only have to win one map because capture the flag is already a free win, and then whoever wins this one will have to win 2. So they will have to work much harder to get actually to the finals and win the finals too. if France obviously gets in the finals. So this suspicion that I had from their history is confirmed if we look at the series, which excites me for all the wrong reasons, because it's Team Survivor, all of it. And I like this series not only because we're probably going to see some great games on Team Survivor, because as we have established, these two teams are probably really good at it, but also it's just easier to shoutcast. But that shouldn't be the reason why I like it. I mean, I may sound obsessive about Capture the Flag, but Capture the Flag is just the better game type in my opinion. Just because it's a constant flow of adrenaline. It's really hard to shoutcast, but it is also just high-paced, and it really just shows off how great Urban Terror is. Team Survivor does too, surely does, but Capture the Flag really captures the essence of Urban Terror in my opinion. So back to the series we have at our hand here with Portugal against Australia. We're going to start off on Portugal's map of choice being Tuhunga Beta 8. Again, Beta 8, I guess just because that is the one that has been established, the better one. I still have to ask someone why Beta 10 is not the one that is played that much. Then we are going on again on Team Survivor, obviously. Australia's map being Austria. Just to mess me up and probably end up calling Australia Austria. Yeah, that will probably happen. Then, well, at least they didn't choose the last one, but they're probably going to be very happy about the fact that it's also going to be Team Survivor on Kingdom RC6, the ace match. So it's only going to be two Team Survivor throughout this whole series. So whoever takes this win against USA, takes the win and has to play against USA, I'm really worried about. And if they win against USA, they have to play against France. It seems very unlikely that whoever will win this will actually get to the finals and win that. They will at least have a really hard time. I should probably stop saying that they will not win it. That sounds so like I already know who will win. Okay, I do know who will win, obviously. I'm shoutcasting this 1 year too late with everything already pre-done. But it still seems like they will have a very hard time. Let's just try and salvage this mess of a shoutcast and get right to the map and the first match of the series, Tuhunga B8, the map of choice of Portugal. As I have already talked about strategies on Tuhunga earlier, but part of me wanting to learn to shoutcast is also talking about strategies and explaining strategies. So I will keep doing this until I feel like I can actually do it. Maybe I just will try and incorporate it later into just the shoutcast itself. I'm not so sure. But I still like the idea of this slide here. So, yeah. Probably I would say there are mainly two strategies. The second one has a variation on it too. So 2.5 strategies. And the third one that I would like to see, but I don't expect in any way. First off, we have, as everyone knows and loves, the one that I like to call the standard line. Just like on Castle, that is probably the map that everyone knows it from. Both teams are sitting on either side of an arbitrary line drawn throughout the middle of the map, with both teams actually just poking at each other until they find some weakness in their opponent's defense. And if they do that, then they will move in and collapse upon the opponent's team, and most of the time then win. That is how that strategy works for the most time. Then, as the second one that I like to call the cheese. Cheese as in the StarCraft term. I'm not so sure that everyone here is familiar with that, so I will just briefly give you the definition of what is a cheese. A cheese is a strategy that relies upon your opponent not knowing what you're up to. If your opponent does do that, he should be able to answer easily, or rather easily, and also and from there he will win. If you have a strategy that is still a cheese, but your opponent cannot react to it and just has to hope to survive it, then no matter what, if your opponent survives the cheese, you will have a very hard time to get back into it. So if this strategy doesn't work, you pretty much have lost the round or the map in StarCraft, but the round in here in the shooter very immediately, and you could pretty much just do /kill here. Why would you do that then, you would say? Well, first of all, you could do a little bit of a more safe variation on this strategy, but also you would do this just to have much more rapid games, because we will also just see the strategy only at the end, because these rounds are going to be shorter because of this strategy. But because of these rounds are going to be shorter, you're also going to be able to get more points in, and because of that, maybe be able to tie the game up. So you will probably only see this strategy used, at least if in its cheesy fashion, if someone is trying to tie this thing up and get up, if they are way too much behind. So I actually think I just skipped the whole explaining what the strategy is. So if you the strategy is rather simple actually. You start in your spawn and rush to the opponent's side, either through the middle or through one of the sides, all 5. And then you kill off with a 2 or 1 person that is in there. And then the idea is rather simple. Also, as something that can be again also looked at from a StarCraft perspective. The one with more stuff, if both have the same skill, the one with more stuff or more players in this case is the one that will most likely win. So if one has 5 players still alive and one only has 3 or 4, the one with 5 is going to have an easier time. Now still, obviously with a shooter, it's still very much skill reliant, and 4 versus 5 is still favoring the one with 5 people, but still easy enough. If they're good, have much better skill or just a little bit lucky, they can still, the one with 4 can still very much get into this. So 5 are rushing to the other side. If you want to do it a bit more safe, as I have pointed out earlier, you could have 2 or 3 going either through the side or the middle, just another route really. The idea is still the same. Try and kill as many of the opponents as fast as possible, and then you can try and hunt the rest of them down. That is really how this one works. The third strategy that I really would like to see, is that the players or the whole team is camping on one spot. Something that should be working at something like the silo, maybe the bridge. Not the bridge. That's too many points that you will have to cover. But the silo, and maybe the west-south spawn position. That one could do it. Those would be very interesting, but I haven't seen anyone do it, or I have never heard anyone do it, so there's probably a reason, and we should probably not expect that to happen. So, let's just... you probably don't want me to talk anymore about what this game could be. I've actually been talking about what we could be seeing for 14 minutes. So, let's just stop this torture and get straight into the game that has started, because I have pressed play with 10 seconds, 9 seconds and 8 seconds left on the countdown. All the have funs and good lucks have been written, and from Australia we obviously are going to get a good luck, have fun mate. So, yep, that wasn't racist at all. We see Australia build up a line as I would expect, with Pragmatic and as one black one that would be Howler. We're going up actually through the northern side of the map. Actually, Australia is right now actually collapsing in, as they have already found the hole or the weakness of Portugal, and actually I already has killed Amish and Sadex. David, although as the first one from Australia, is going to be going down. Howler actually flanking, and with flanking a 3 against 1, and with one of them flanking, you pretty much can't win that. So Australia takes the first round very convincingly on Portugal's map. Probably not what you had expected. You would probably have expected Portugal to be very strong on their own map. As it seems to me, the line has actually been moved so that Australia now has the northern side and Portugal the southern side. David is moving, and though he actually got one of them down, and the second one down too. And with some help from Howler, actually also the third one. They were on the streak, and Australia, with no losses, really actually already takes the second round. Very, very convincingly. Again, moving actually up through the northern side. Actually, a strategy that I should probably be noting down here, because that seems very, very interesting. Seems some kind of mix between this cheese and this line thing, because you don't make the line from where one is on the west and one on the eastern side, but you actually have yourself on the northern and your opponents on the southern side. Something that I didn't expect. They were killing one of them, and with the Desert Eagle not getting the shots down and getting killed by Sedix. And now Mortal, Nasri and Sedix are up against Blake and Fragnetic. Blake just dying here, and Fragnetic is probably in a very tight spot. And getting flanked now too. He's going down with Sedix and Mortal still alive, being the first round that Portugal takes home. Both teams not really doing what I expected. Portugal now actually just taking the southern side again. They're playing very dynamically, or they are using a strategy that I have not really seen before. Though they seem to be moving back to this line sort of thing with Sedix and Nasri actually going up to the northern side. I'm not so sure if I actually like this, because they are actually splitting up, and because of that they did trade unfavorably. And now it's like 1 against 1 with Chance against Raphael. Something that is very much possible, but yeah, Chance, you have to remember to use that bandage if you have only 1 or 2 HP left. Not really, yeah. He could have, if he had bandaged immediately, he could maybe have tried to get 1 Desert Eagle shot off and maybe have gotten that headshot. So it's now 2 against 2, and 2 and 2 is the score, and it seems like Australia is taking this one home too. It's with 3, and again somewhat solidly, but they have had much bigger losses on right now on these rounds. So it seems like Portugal is very fast adjusting to this Australian strategy, which is something that I really like. So yes, Howler getting Amish down, Chance, Sedix, and 5 against 1. Yeah, this is looking really bad for Australia or Portugal here. Though Waffy actually goes out of this round with honor, killing at least one of the Australians. Howler again moving actually rather far down here the lane here, but then again they are actually making the line again on the northern side, so that makes sense. Also, the timeout has been called from Portugal. They are probably want to talk about what is going wrong, which I will also do here. Chance throwing some shots down through the bridge to the silo, and expecting Wrath there, getting some really decent shots down. Though I would want him to actually heal that guy, because yeah, you would rather want that extra teammate to help you. Mortal and Amish are trying to hunt the others down, getting Blade, sorry, but Howler was just flanking Mortal there and getting him easily. Amish now against Chance and Howler, trying to see where exactly he should go, and trying to see where he is, finding them on the bridge, finding Chance on the bridge, and actually was just killed before he even could react to any of it. And that makes it 5-2 to Australia. On the very first map, yes, area. or Wacky, whatever was the clan tag. But yeah, it seems like Australia has this very interesting strategy that is somewhat. It seems like actually this cheesy strategy, or not as strong a cheesy strategy as the other one. Or maybe it's just because that on this map you make the line like where you take the northern or the southern side. But that is not how I remember this being played. But making the line like that seems like you will have a very much better position. Yeah, a much better position. That is a good sentence or a good way to put it. Didn't know why I would doubt myself there and say much 3 times. But get back to the subject, actually. Yes, I will. Well, it seems like this going to the northern side every time and building a line up there, they end up being in a very good defensive position and can just poke and kill each and every Portuguesian easily. And Portugal has to find some way has to make some answer to it, either maybe going head on, some all-Inish fashion and trying to cut them off from going on to the northern side, and or maybe just trying to see if they can find some better positioning for the southern side, or just denying them to get in there in the first place. That would also be a good thing. So we see here the line now being drawn between west and east, which is something that I would have expected. So thank you both teams for that. Some preemptive nades in there, and Australia now again moving in after 2 of the Portuguesians have fallen, being Nasri and Amish. And now also Sadix by the hand of Davo. Yes, Shans and one other from Australia. Davo healing up. That's a really good thing to do. Though, if Mortal wasn't flanked there, he could probably have surprised those 2, and that would have been pretty good. Then they would have been in 2 versus 3, which is Portugal would have been able to actually get back to him. But because Mortal was flanked, sorry, he sadly couldn't tie that one wound up. Well, though Fragnatic actually being the first one to fall on this, though Mortal down now 2 by the hand of Howler. And Howler really not that being damaged that much. So, okay, now both Davo and Blake has fallen, and Howler being the last one against 4 of the Portuguesians. He falls immediately. Yeah. Portugal slowly seeming to be actually getting back into this and possibly finding a strategy that is a perfect or somewhat good answer against the Australian strategy. As we're trying to see if he can get some good shots off while still being rather safe there. Amish actually getting the kill on the bridge, though Sadix has fallen though for that. Oh, Amish now also getting Davio down. And Portugal seems to actually having the upper hand here. Though Amish falling at Howler's hand. I should probably stop saying that. But Howler, because he just didn't see it. And now also one more from Portugal. Even though it started off really good for Portugal, it seems like Australia is actually turning this round around. Yeah, try to say that 10 times. Turning that round around. Thank you. Yes, healing up, that is really good. Sadly, he doesn't have the medic pack, though Waffy neither. Though the minimap says he has. Very interesting. Okay, Mortal should probably try and follow Waffy. They have to stay together if they want to face both Shans and Blake, who sound to be running around together. Mortal trying to get some shots off, though he doesn't hit anyone and gets hit for about 30 hit points. Shans now also getting Mortal down. Didn't hear sound like he was hit anyway, either himself, so yeah. Though if Rafi actually finds a good spot, I would expect him to possibly get that one. Also, but getting flanked and actually getting hit from both sides, he couldn't go anywhere and was killed. Has to be killed by one of them. Also, I have to stop to lean so much forward that I cannot. That I'm just talking besides the mic. Chance getting some nades in, not killing anyone, but Mortal actually gets a nade kill on Davo. Being the first on the round, Blake beginning slowly to use Chance. Doesn't seem like he had the medic pack though. One medic pack is still though for Portugal on the so they probably are in a better position if Australia doesn't have one. And with Blake being the last one from Australia, Portugal takes this one easily with all 4 players left, or nearly all 5 players left. Rafi getting into position, trying to look over the middle as it sounded like Australia was trying to move in there. Getting some nades down, to make the wash not being able to be done. Nades some over the place to hit the normal position that you have them in. Yeah, makes sense. One nade killed though, Mortal. Not really what you want to do. They miscounted the amount of nades there. And it seems like people are on both teams falling rather balanced, to be honest. It's 2 against 1. So Portugal has more people than Australia still alive, but Davo could still, with some really well placed shots and in a good position, get this one. He just has to be the first one to get shot off. Then he could be, then he could probably take this one. Being silent, of course, so that he is the first one to realize where the opponent is. Really like that play. So Sadek sliding in with 50 HP left and just getting one headshot and killing him. Though, if you really look at the score though, it's a 5-7, so Portugal are actually slowly getting back into this game. Though, Australia has throughout this whole match, or this whole match actually has been 2 rounds ahead. Now again we see Australia actually pretty much cleaning this whole thing up, with only Howler falling down. Not looking very still, even though Portugal had a timeout, Australia seems to be very solid here. Australia now though rushing in, being very cheesy. And because I actually think that was rather detrimental, Portugal actually answered really well. 2 are still from Australia's side alive, and Rafi not. And Rafi not looking over his shoulder, Davo kills him easily. He could probably even have knifed him there. Not really what you have wanted. That cheese actually worked really well. Chance getting Amish down and Davo getting one nade in. Didn't kill anyone, but now moving in through the middle, trying to get some shots off, doesn't hit anyone, and gets killed by Nasri, though he had him hit a few times, but actually it seems like Australia now just overwhelmed them by getting in from all sides. All 4 are collapsing in on them. Now getting to be a 10 versus 10 to 5. Australia seems to be more and more solid, and Portugal seems to be slipping away, really. Little bit by a little bit. Again, Australia has this northern side, trying to see where Portugal is. And has found them all into the eastern spawn. Yes, and with that, Australia has cleaned this one up too. I think if Portugal actually would try and cheese and not try and keep Australia down, by trying to play for the long game and actually try to keep Australia's very aggressive plays and try to react to them and actually just be aggressive themselves, then I think they would actually be able to get back into this. And as long as they're aggressive, it's going to be very fast games. So with only 6 minutes left, they'll still very much get this one home. Amish getting already one of Blake down, and he can actually get Davo out of position too, and on him only alone, then he, or Chance for that matter, then he could actually have taken that round. But Chance, with a G36 against an LR, yeah, probably would have won at that distance. Chance again, hitting from the southern side over to the northern side. Not really what I would have expected. They're really playing really across the map here. Very interesting place here. I really like the choice of using G36 a lot on this map. It's very reactive, though it doesn't seem very aggressive to me. They were moving and getting one of Portugal down, not two! They're bleeding to death but all of Australia was there to reinforce them, and with Rafi being the only one against 3 Australians, not gonna work. And it's now 13-5 with 5 minutes left. Australia just taking this one very, very convincingly. Sadix actually getting a nade kill, actually getting 2 nade kills, though the second one was not by Sadix, sorry, that was by Rafi. Rafi now also getting Blake. This may be a turnaround, at least a 1 round again for Portugal, with Chance only being the one left here against Amish, Mortal and Rafi. Yeah, if Portugal can make more rounds like this and play them fast, they could still take 8 rounds home. Though they will have to make each round less than half a minute to actually get this one map. Actually, one falling in the middle, Chance being actually over in the eastern spawn, because that is the fact, he's the safest, because he only has to actually look at one place at one time. Amish sliding in, killing Chance very fast, taking that round home, being the 6th round for Portugal. Nate's trying to keep Australia down, but Australia gets in so fast, killing a lot of Portuguesians, but actually Portugal has killed all of the Australians, though only 2 of them are still alive, but 2 against 1. They may actually get one other round like this one, though they have to get it again. They have to make this one rather fast. It seems to be still too slow. Each round seems to be 40 seconds, 45 seconds in length. This is not fast enough if Portugal actually wants to take this 1 round home still. Again, very, very balanced trading here. Portugal again seeming to actually getting the upper hand on it. Maybe Australia is just slacking now that they feel like they have to win. I really don't hope so, because if they really are, they can, just like this one, actually again lose one other round. And that one, if I have seen at the counter correctly, that one was actually 30 seconds. Or maybe 35. So if they can get some more of these in, they only need 5 more rounds, 3 minutes? There, if they still keep on going for 30-40 seconds in length, they can do that. Especially if they can start another round with only 3 seconds left, they can do it. 3 against 4. No, this round seems to be taken by Australia though. That is really not what you want. Portugal trying to see if they can get this one back. Nasri looking at the wrong way, getting killed immediately. Now Blake and Howler against Mortal, and Blake killing Mortal with no problem, as it seemed. He had all the HP left there. And Australia, as we can see, are seemingly trying to move and make up a line again. They're actually not rushing anymore. They don't want Portugal to win, because as it seems, Portugal are actually really good at answering rushes. Mortal actually getting Chance killed. Probably went back to the silo again. And it also seems like Australia can't go for the long game, though. They probably are trying to do this, even though Portugal wins now with 3 people left, which is really convincingly, really convincing win. Australia actually trying to slow them down, as it seems. Or maybe they don't think about it, but what they are doing is trying to play for the long game here, making each round longer, making it impossible for Portugal actually to get it done. Yeah. Even though Portugal is doing a convincing comeback, Australia now trying to slow them down, and now actually again being 2-1. And Chance actually capping it down. Blake in the corner killing Rafi, who couldn't really, with no stamina, and couldn't really answer Blake that easily. Though you can still do that, but you don't have that much movement. But yeah, with that, not that much stamina, he couldn't get himself in a good position. Amish already falling down from Portugal. Mortal too. No one from Australia yet. Yo, there's Graf got Davo. And Rafi with his aim going everywhere, also getting one more. Howler being the last one from Australia seems to be killing each and everyone. Though one from Portugal also died to bleeding. And with that, it is probably the very last round, or the second last round, but very much Australia has won, sadly, the first, or not sadly, depends on where you look at it, but Australia has won very, very well the first match of the series. And with 10 seconds left, this gotta be the very last one. Is Portugal actually going to get this one last one? It doesn't seem like it. Nasrid getting killed immediately by Davo. Sadix also by Fragnetic too. And Amish by Davo's HE grenade. This may be just a clearing up here. Is anyone from Australia dying? Yeah, actually, all of a sudden with only 3 people left, or 2 people left, Portugal actually seemed to clear it up. Howler though, as the very last one, got the 2 kills just in a row. And with that, it was a very, very convincing win. Being oh jeez, that was some weird shit that happened there, but being somewhere around 17-10, if I remember correctly, is the score. Australia is being very, very aggressive, something that I haven't expected, and something that I should note. Making the standard line on the northern and the eastern, northern and southern side instead of the western and eastern side, not being very controlling and laid back, but very aggressive too. Something very interesting, and also being very cheesy in the middle of the game. Something that I wouldn't have expected either. Australia really knowing what they were doing. But on the other hand, you have also to give Portugal credit. They were, even though they were behind from the first round and never really got back into the game, they still reacted superbly well. Each and especially in the later half of this match, they reacted and actually had a positive win ratio, but they just couldn't get back into the game. But they reacted so well and shut down this aggressiveness of Australia so very well, and actually, while Australia at the start of the game actually had like 4 or 5 people alive, in the middle to the later parts of the game, Portugal was actually the one that had 4 or 5 still left. Then it was again a little bit balanced after that, but it very much seems like these 2 teams know what they're doing. Australia being very aggressive, Portugal trying to be somewhat more controlling, trying to be also very aggressive, and especially as you can see with all of these extra nades that were thrown by them. So I am very much looking forward to what they will be doing for the next match in the series, being Australia's map. Is Australia very, very good on both maps? Have they just been training hard also on Tuhunga and Austria? Or can Portugal actually use the bigger size of Austria maybe to slow this game down, making the aggressiveness of Australia much, much better? Well, stay tuned to find out. Thanks for watching. Until next time.